Now, a KXAN News investigation.
Tonight, KXAN investigates your power bill.
We heard you loud and clear. Viewers asking us what's causing electric bills in Austin to double and even triple.
And after digging into it, lead investigator Chris Willis is here with the answer.
Yeah, Leslie and Robert, good evening. To start with this story, it's best to get some perspective on this big dead of winter we've been having. For that, we go to Jim Spencer. And Jim, you've been helpful in this investigation to pull some data for us and tell us about the temperatures that we recently experienced in the dead of winter in December and January.
Everyone remember back in December, it was the 9th warmest December on record since 1854, 150 years of weather records, and with the 4th warmest average high temperature of almost 69 degrees.
Yeah, that's the perspective that can be deceiving, because warmer temperatures, less work for the thermostat, you would think. So why are so many people having a problem with their electric bills? We went to the top of Austin Energy for some answers.
I was shocked. I thought it was incorrect.
You know, the usage shouldn't have been that high.
I said these people have lost their minds.
It's an issue that's dominated the Investigates tip line. Austin Energy bills for the end of December through late January. Double, triple, even quadruple the amount from the month before. One explanation, it was cold and people use more heat.
We had periods of cold weather during December and January that I think, frankly, some of us sort of forget about.
So we decided to get some perspective and compare years past to determine just how cold it was. December of 2012 was the 9th warmest December in more than 150 years. In fact, the entire month of December was the 4th warmest average temperature on record at 68.9 degrees. And January's average temperature was 2.1 degrees warmer than the normal temperature.
We had the furnace turned off for so much of that month.
You had it turned off?
Turned off for probably about 10 days to 2 weeks.
Dave Pedley has lived in the same house for 17 years, and he knows how to read his electric bill. Even though his bill was $158 more than the previous month.
So that's on 26, that's 1 month later.
Dave looks directly at kilowatt hours used per day, and that's what concerned him.
The average per day use was 72 kilowatt hours, and that I can't understand how that can be.
The impact that has on the customer's consumption.
So we took Dave's electric bill to the top of Austin Energy, to the Chief Operating Officer, Cheryl Mealy, who says Dave's bill is right on.
We can clearly see that on the days when the temperature's in the 70s in the afternoons, their consumption is much less than it is on the days where it never climbs above 60.
Austin Energy says while Dave may have had his furnace off for a few days early in the month, his billing cycle didn't start until December 22nd, and it ran through January 26th, a longer 35-day billing cycle. And during that time, 20 days had overnight lows below 40 degrees. And that, they say, is what led to Dave's kilowatt hours to hit 72.9 on average for a day. It's a head-scratcher for some, but much more serious for folks on a fixed income.
I've seen a little electricity flow.
Henry Bockelman spent nearly 2 decades as a power plant operator. He says he averages about $65 to $70 a month for his electric bill. Understandable, since his apartment is relatively small. He says when he got his latest bill, totaling $226, he thought someone was tapping into his electricity. His usage, 1,936 kilowatt hours for an apartment barely 800 square feet.
I've been retired for 21 years. This is the first time I've worried about money since we retired. Yeah. And it just knocks a hole in your whole planning of what you're going on, the way you're going to make your budget work.
So we also took Henry's bill to Austin Energy, and they tracked kilowatt hour usage to the day. And while Henry claims to have the thermostat low, the cold days in his billing cycle led to the increase. Henry's billing cycle was also 35 days and started December 18th. It ran through January 22nd. 23 of those days had overnight lows below 40 degrees. And that is what led to his kilowatt hours going up so drastically. And he had 1,900 kilowatt hours used, and I thought that was a significant amount for such a small place.
He was likely to have seen about $25 or so that would have been associated with the increase in rates, but the rest was based on a longer billing cycle and a little bit more daily consumption.
When they hit me with this one, I figure exponentially, the next one ought to be $500 or so.
Yeah. If it is, what do you do? Well, because of the high number of complaints we received, we also asked about possible glitches in the meter reading or the software that interacts with their new billing system and the rate structure. Austin Energy says since January 1st, they have checked more than 100 meters for accuracy, and only one was a bit off, and it was actually off in favor of the homeowner. Finally, they say the new smart meters are the most accurate technology ever available to the electric utility industry. So let's boil this down for you, let you understand exactly what affects your power bill and how you can manage it. Number one, know your billing cycle. Take a look at the dates on your bill. Austin Energy does not bill people all starting on the first day of the month and ending on the last day of the month. Next, let's break down the rate hike. It started in October. Most Austin Energy customers use 1,000 kilowatt hours or less. The rate hike adds $5 a month to those bills, but the new tier system affects your bill even more. Go over 2,500 kilowatt hours, your bill jumps 19%. At 3,000 kilowatt hours, it jumps 24%. The more you use and go up the tier, the more you pay per kilowatt hour. Finally, realize how much you're using even during mild weather. A lot of furnaces still run overnight when the temperatures drop, and the kilowatt usage is right there on your bill, so the best advice is get familiar with it.
So what can people do to keep their electric bills lower?
It's interesting. There are a lot of things you can do, and today is a perfect example. Beautiful day outside, but the overnight low tonight...
Right. We'll be in the 30s, many places below freezing tonight, so you wouldn't have needed heat or AC today.
Right.
But tonight, obviously, you will.
And that's what gets deceiving. Those furnaces are going to be running. When you hit a higher usage rate, you go into that higher and more expensive tier. And if you have any questions, you can call Austin Energy. They will walk you through your bill day by day and break it down. If you're still unhappy, they send out a technician to check your meter and the accuracy of it. And you can also schedule a home energy audit. All of this information and a lot more on our website at KXAN.com. Jim, thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Leslie?
Thank you so much. Taking an in-depth look at this now, we checked with other Central Texas power companies outside of Austin Energy's service area. TXU Energy, Reliant Energy, and the Bluebonnet Electric Cooperative all say they've seen overall increases in energy consumption all during this warm winter. That's compared to recent years. Only the Pedernales Electric Cooperative says it's seen reduced overall consumption. Tomorrow on KXAN News at 6, we investigate another kind of bill. Drivers who take a toll road in Austin want to know why TxDOT is taking more money out of their bank accounts without explanation. We got some answers for you. And if you have a story tip for KXAN to investigate, you can call our tip line 512-703-5255 or send an email to investigates@kxan.com.